Welcome r/Prorevenge. My manager was an awful person to me, but I got her fired in an embarrassing fashion. Years ago, shortly after I graduated high school, I got a new job to support myself during college. The new gig was in a pet store, and I was working in the department that sold the fish, aquariums, reptiles, and birds, etc. etc. The store manager was an awesome guy who I will call Kurt. Kurt was an old school guy. He went to work, worked hard and went home. That's all he expected out of you as well. My immediate manager over my department was this large snaggletooth witch of a woman. I'll call her Stephanie. We got off to a bad start because she quickly found out that I knew more about reptiles than her. She preferred the fish, whereas I had kept snakes for the past 4 to 5 years. Her ego couldn't handle a fresh employee not needing her guidance. From then on she was terrible to me. She singled me out to clean the goldfish tanks and had the other employees cover sales every day I worked. She would say rude things to me such as, "You are the weak link in my team. You are the reason I'm having problems in this department." Fast forward about a year, my hours had been cut by about 25%. I asked the store manager what the deal was, and he told me that our department had lost too much money between lack of sales and broken merchandise, etc. This puzzled me, but I didn't think much of it because everybody's hours were cut. Simultaneously, myself and a few coworkers had noticed something strange. Stephanie had recently taken much more interest in the customers. She insisted on helping certain customers and sending us to do busy work while they were there. A customer came in one evening and was talking to us about how nice Stephanie is. Turns out Stephanie was breeding mice and selling them to customers outside of the store. We found out she was breeding all of her animals, her dogs, turtles, mice, and selling them to customers she met through our store. Not only was this taking business from us, our store had a couple corporate policies. We did not feed nor sell mice as live food for snakes, and we donated a lot of time and money to shelters, and we condemned breeding dogs and cats for sales. Stephanie was making money by selling animals to the customers, all the while her department had hours cut for all of its employees. It didn't quite make sense how this was costing us so much money until one evening I thought I had figured it out. Stephanie was an otherwise lazy woman, but when one of her customers came in she was by their side the whole time. I watched closely as she followed a customer around, helping them pick out a cart full of expensive aquarium decorations and terrarium supplies like lights and bulbs. I followed and wrote down every item she grabbed. I wanted to see where this went. She directed the customer to a register and went to check them out. She's lazy and would never do this for any other customers. I noted the time and went back to work. I later spoke to other cashiers about Stephanie checking customers out, and they said that she only ever rang up certain customers and she acted weird when they did it. They suspected she was abusing coupons for them or applying hefty discounts. I got my coworkers to corroborate my story about the under-the-table animal sales and suspicious behavior, and I went to talk to Kurt. I handed him a paper with about 20 UPs and the time written on it, and I said, "I think if you look up a transaction from register to at this time last night you will find a large discount applied to it. These are the items I would expect you to find on that transaction." He was a bit puzzled, and I explained everything to him. I told him I didn't want to make any accusations before because I wasn't sure, but after seeing her in action I was pretty sure something was going on. He thanked me and assured me he would look into it. A couple weeks later I was at work and I noticed Kurt was standing near the door watching closely. It just so happened Stephanie was coming in for her shift right about that time. The second she walked through the door he called her over to his office. Apparently waiting in his office was a regional manager from corporate. He looked at the list I gave him and looked up transactions from the night before. He found one at the exact time I wrote, but it only had about half of the items I listed, but every item that was on the receipt was on the list I gave him. This prompted him to watch her for a few weeks, and in that time frame they found her to be taking her customers around shopping, personally taking them up to the register and scanning every other item and putting the expensive stuff into the cart without ringing it up. In that time span she had given away over $1,500 in merchandise, and he looked back at the logs we keep for broken merchandise that is written off and found an excessive amount of aquarium supplies and decorations that were signed off by her. It was something like 1000% more written off broken merchandise than was found at the same time last quarter. All in all, she was charged with stealing/defrauding the store in over $3,500 in merchandise, and it just so happened that Kurt had already arranged for police to meet them after firing her to escort her out. I don't know if she went to jail, but I did watch her get walked out by police with about 20 employees staring. I wish I could have said something, but I had to settle for her making eye contact with me as she walked out, to which I gave her a quick wink. Edit. A word. Edit 2. TL. Doctor manager was an insufferable cunt. I found out she was doing shady shit. I investigated and documented it. She was fired and escorted out by police. I keep a work journal that I have possession of 100% of the time. I even take it home with me and scan complete pages onto a hard drive. It's saved my ass a few times. I document everything from breaks to conversations with coworkers and customers and date and time everything. I was burned once in the army and it's been a lifesaver since then. I may seem paranoid, but it's a must. I also save all of my emails to a thumb drive. My work allows this, and it is great, because my boss is a queen of saying one thing in an email and another in a meeting. I love hearing this stuff. I was in the same situation at a warehouse music, but the assistant wasn't scanning every other item. He was using the print screen function on the keyboard to make it look like they were paying. They always walked out with a couple of bags full of CDs and DVDs, and a receipt. Why did he do it? Cause he got favors at his customers' businesses, including VIP treatment at a strip club. I got to search through all the security footage and match up the carbon copies of the receipts that he didn't discard. The final tally was a 6-month inventory that was short $100,000 worth of product. The worst part, he had everyone in the store in on it, except me and my friend. They were all fired and prosecuted. I got to bust that dickhead. Edit. I forgot to mention that the investigator told me he was fired from Best Buy for doing the same kinda shit. Nicely done. I work at a bar. I have a coworker that has been directly or indirectly stealing from the house by giving discounts to people not eligible or comping parts or whole checks. But not to be nice to her guests. No. They would pay cash for the whole check, which she would later take care of by telling a supervisor the guest left unsatisfied or kitchen was slow, etc. We help each other by closing checks of one another when we have a minute. She hates when somebody closes her checks, and especially if they are checks paid with cash. I know exactly what's going on because it's too obvious. I'm not sure if anyone else knows it. But the thing is, she has 4 years until retirement. If one of us speaks up, it will be us fucking with her retirement. I'm always torn when I notice her doing that shit. On one hand, I can't stand watching her steal, but on the other hand, I can't fuck up someone's life. It's not like it's her first job. While she in college, she relies on this retirement check she will get so soon. Is that bad? Should I do something about it? I try to stay away from her completely and not pay attention to what she is doing, so I can sleep at night. Update. Thanks to everyone who saw my story and replied. I realized that the best way to go will be sending her an anonymous note with a suggestion to stop stealing. This way she knows some of us know and hopefully stops, so no one gets hurt. Document as much as you can, get evidence and hold on to it. An easy way to catch someone doing this is to talk to a customer who got a discount due to being unsatisfied. If a customer finds out they paid full price and their bill was discounted, they will be pissed. They catch pizza delivery drivers abusing coupons on cash paying customers all the time. Now if it were me, and this lady was otherwise not causing you problems, I'd approach her and be like, look, we know what you are doing with these discounts and comps on cash checks. If you cut it out now, this will be the end of it. That's a really tough one considering the situation surrounding it. For me it was an easy decision, because my manager was a hateful person and her actions were affecting my livelihood. I had a friend in a similar situation. She was one of, let's say, 4 accountants for a management company. Each person had some accounts and companies they double checked the books for. One accountant lady, Sarah, was very lazy on most things, but very attentive on a few accounts. Around the time they quit, other people took over those accounts. My friend was confused on some of the charges, so she called and verified what they were. Why in the world was season tickets for the Oakland A's Shormit on a sales expense report? Sarah was adding on her own expenses to random expense reports for her accounts. They went back about 2 years and managed to find around $60K in charges she added on. Single mother. Last I knew, police had talked to her and she was going to jail for a few years. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you would like to see more, feel free to subscribe.